Spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer! Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection. Puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. I'm also the owner of the Off the Ball Network, and this show is brought to you by SeatGeek, your number one place for all your ticket needs. Use the promo code Off the Ball Network, all caps, to get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. And if you go to certain NBA games, you might be able to take the whole family in for nothing, because I see some of the tickets, especially like Charlotte games. You can bring the whole family just for that $20 and all that. So, great show I got today. I got my man Geoff Campbell. He is a contributor of Knicks Fan TV. We hosted Knicks Fan TV. We were called the cops and all that, but we got all the chat on our side by the end of the show. And now that's a moment I'll never forget, Geoff. Geoff, my guy, what's going on, bro?
My guy, Chris. Thank you so much, man. It's an honor to be on your pod. First things first, dude, the intro, fire. I don't know if you created that song.
I created the song.
That thing is nice.
Yeah, so what happened with this, I was looking for a new intro, just trying to spice it up a little bit. A buddy of mine who had my show on his radio network, he said, yo, I got something for you. And the last 10 seconds with like Mike Breen, I added that part.
Okay.
But the New York, and then the Kenny Anderson part, he had spiced it up. He's like, yo, I got a guy who just mixed up a new intro for you. I was like, bet, can I hear it? I heard it. I was like, this is heat.
Yeah.
I mean, this is fire.
There you go.
Like, how did you get it? He's like, I know you're a New Yorker, and I just try to get some New York vibes to it, and boom, put it together, spiced it up, and that's been my intros. I added the Mike Breen part, for certain shows and all that, but yeah, he came with that. I was like, yep, this is my new intro and all that. Got to rock with that. And because Kenny Anderson, when I interviewed Kenny Anderson, he had said, New York, I love you and all that. And he watched, he's like, yo, I don't know, that part stood out to me. And I remember you had him on doing that, and I just took that part, added it to that, and I'm like, let me see what I could do, work with it, send it to my guy, and he's a producer and all that. He mixed it up, and I was like, bro, take it. That's fire, bro. And I stuck with it for the last few years and all that, so it's been dope. But Geoff, my man, like I said, you were contributing to Knicks Fan TV and all that, bro. So happy to have you on finally. Like I said, we've done stuff together on Knicks Fan TV side, but to have you on the pod, happy to have you on and talk about our New York Knickerbockers.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you. And very, very excited to talk Knicks. What a time to be a fan. Team is doing really well. Post OG Anunoby trade, it looks like they've really taken a jump to the next level. Some questions to see what are we going to do prior to the trade deadline, but the team is in a really good place, man. It's a good mix of young players, good mix of established veterans. Coach, it seems like on all three levels, front office, coaching staff, players, we're in a really good place right now. So I'm very much excited to chop it up with you. Yeah.
So obviously, 13-2 since the OG Anunoby trade. And obviously we gave up some important pieces, guys who were, drafted by this team in the 19 and 20, key contributors to kind of the getting back to where we always wanted to be as Knicks fans and all that, because there were some dark days, before that. But RJ, wasn't perfect by all means and all that, but still contributor. Same thing with Emmanuel quickly. But what do you think was the reason why you think they pulled off that trade, the Knicks?
I think that's a really good question. I think the Knicks' willingness to include quickly is what puts it over the top. I was very surprised. I don't know if you feel the same. I was very surprised they didn't have to include a draft pick.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be when I heard the deal, I was like, oh, we definitely gave away at least 2. At least, because I saw the players. I was like, all right.
I mean, they gave away the Detroit second, but still,
Detroit,
I thought,
well, like
I
first
thought
rounders, I was like, yeah, definitely going to lose first rounders. And I thought because this year's draft is kind of on the, quote unquote weaker side, I thought they would, because it's weaker and they would have, lower end picks, that they would probably just be like, whatever, we'll add the 2. But
right.
The fact that they only had to give up Detroit's, that's going to be like probably the first pick in the second round, but it's a second round pick still. That I was surprised. It was just, that's that, and just players, and quickly as a free agent, Barrett just signed a contract, last year, but I was still surprised that they didn't have to give up any, and they have abundance of them, so that was really shocking.
Yeah, I think so RJ, I mean, I was also, I guess, kind of surprised that Toronto maybe valued him as highly as I'm guessing that they do, because I don't want to say he's a centerpiece of the deal, but they're taking on quite a bit of money. I mean, granted, RJ's 23. It's not like he's an older player and you're paying him a lot of money per annual, but you're hoping that he's going to become something under, Darko's tutelage and the player development staff over there, which, by and large has been pretty solid. I mean, they have a pretty decent track record over there under Masai.
Yeah, they develop good, especially wings like him.
Yeah, exactly. But I was still surprised, I just because it's weird on Knicks Twitter, you get a lot of flack if you're too high or too low on someone, and RJ's always a very divisive topic amongst Knicks
very
Twitter.
very.
I was honestly probably on the lower side with him, and
same with me.
I tried to stay as in the middle as possible. And then this year was kind of my breaking point. Chris, I'm sure you remember, he started off very hot. We were yes.
It was the opposite of previous years, right? Because usually he's a slow starter.
We were post FIBA RJ is here. The shooting is finally here. And then it just dropped off the side of a cliff. And I think I just got to the point, me personally, that I was tired of waiting. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with RJ Barrett being a 19 to 20 point scorer, inefficient, let's be real, but maybe gets to the line a decent amount and can be a serviceable defender. You're going to have a good NBA career. Now, you're not going to be a great player. You're probably not going to be an all-star, but there's nothing wrong with being that type of player. However, there is something wrong probably with paying that player a lot of money and having him be the number 3 pick in the draft. And then if you decide to build your team around him, then I have questions about, your team philosophy and your building philosophy. Mm-hmm. But for RJ, I mean, he's a good teammate. He works hard, but I don't see, I think, what maybe Toronto sees in terms of his future. Now, quickly, I love, and I do think, a lot of people have said maybe there's a chance that quickly becomes the best player in this deal in a couple of years. That is possible. I mean, he really grew as a playmaker, and he developed that floater game. We obviously know what he can do from 3, both shooting off movement and standstill. Quickly moves the defense a lot, and at his size too, he's a really good defender. I remember last year there was that, I don't know if it was Fred Katz or somebody talked about him being Draymond, in terms of calling out other teams' coverages, stuff like that. So it's tough to lose quickly, man, especially a guy that we drafted and we really developed. He was a second round pick and he's going to make a lot of money this summer. But, I was kind of a little bit surprised from Toronto. I mean, granted, OG has a player option this summer. So, I mean, he's probably going to decline that and he's in for a big payday. Toronto didn't want to do that. So, but I was, to final answer on your question, I was definitely surprised we were able to get him for RJ and just quickly.
Yeah, and like you said, I think they valued RJ probably more than maybe other teams, and obviously him being there probably helps too, and having they're kind of going through that rebuilding phase. Maybe not a true rebuild because they got Scotty Barnes who might be an all-star and all that, but it's definitely a retooling. they're going to have some down years and all that. But to have a player like RJ who's from there, that definitely helps. And he'll have more spacing and all. And he's been solid for them since he's been, I think he's like 21-7, since he's gotten traded there. So he's definitely looked more comfortable and he's done a better role. And I just feel like, they needed to make a move because they needed to change something. It was just like, we're going to be stuck in neutral. And sometimes, Jeff, when you're kind of in that middle, that's kind of like that's in that gray, like you're like, remember those Grizzlies teams, that would always like, yeah, they might get to a conference finals, but it's like, oh, they're never going to get over that hump.
Yeah.
And I felt New York, you keep hearing, oh, trade for a star. I don't think that's realistic right now because it's like, what do you consider a star? There are stars available, but they're in their, almost mid-30s. And it's like, all right, do we need to go through that, trade for a star in his mid-30s and all that? So, like, all right, we got to try to do something else. And I've always said with OG Anunoby is like, there's more offensive upside than we've seen. Now, obviously, he's had, with Siakam, if Scotty Barnes' emergence and all that, they've had a bunch of guys that he's kind of been like a 4th or 5th option. But I always said, man, he always shoot the ball from deep very well. And now we know how good of a corner 3-point shooter he was, and is, and I always say, obviously the defense is A+. I mean, he's an all-world defender and all that. Yeah. But I'm like, there's more to his offense than we've seen so far. And I think we've seen that right now and all that. And it's freed up so much more for everybody else. And it's just, I just think they needed to make a move and like that. And they did. And it was needed. Couldn't just be stagnant, all that. And it was, I think they were kind of knew what RJ's ceiling was because they tried to trade him last year for Donovan Mitchell, right?
Right.
The writing was kind of on the wall. They just needed to find that right deal. And, they found that right deal and all that. And it's just, we've been on a tear, like I said, 13-2 since then. And the offense looks more freer. The defense, is looking bad. And it's essentially without Mitchell Robinson, not there. So just imagine when we get him back, how it looks. But Jeff, we got a couple big injuries though. Obviously, OG is out. He's going to be out for I don't know how long, but he's out today, with the elbow. But obviously, the big injury is our Julius Randle out with the shoulder. They're saying weeks. That could mean, Jeff, that could mean 8 weeks. Just because it says they're saying weeks, but how 8 weeks is 2 months. So like when people are, oh, he's only going to be out for a week. I was like, weeks could mean 12 weeks, 8 weeks. Like we don't really know. They didn't really really have clarity of how long. It's not as bad as it looked, but I've heard from doctors and all this. Like, it's kind of bad. It could be longer. So it's like we're on the weeks thing. Hopefully it's the lesser end, but how does this injury impact this team if he is out? Let's give it like an 8-week span. If it's 6 to 8 weeks.
I mean, it's huge, man. I think Julius Randle, I think the world of him. I know he's another player that Knicks fans really like to get on.
Oh yeah, I'm on you. I think that's why we click. Because, we're on the Tibbs side. Like we don't bash. We're not like true Tibbs bash. Tibbs bashers, and we defended probably Julius Randle more than many would.
I agree. And honestly, man, like even in a bad year, the dude averaged 20, 10, and 5. Like, and this was when he was doing the whole thumbs down, like clearly, like emotionally, mentally, like he was in a rough spot. Like that was a rough year for him. But there's there's maybe like 5 guys on the planet that could average 20, 10, and 5 at his size and do what he does to stretch the floor and drive to the hoop. So I mean, it's huge. You take away a lot of gravity that he brings off his drives. So that's taking away opportunities from shooters. I think it really is going to come down to OG not being out for a long enough time and seeing how Tibbs wants to, cover that 4 spot. We know Josh Hart is going to play a decent amount of minutes there. OG is going to be playing a decent amount of minutes there. He started the game with, I believe, Hartenstein and Sims last night, or I forget who he started at the at the 4 and the 5. But, it's going to be how he kind of holds the dam with that. But really, and this has been going on Twitter a lot, but I actually agree. I mean, I think it's pretty funny, but I think Jalen Brunson is going to have to be like 2000 version of Allen Iverson. Like, really, that's what I think. And, I think he's just going to have to be the guy who is just relentless in his drives and his shooting. We know that he has the talent to do it. And everybody else is going to kind of have to fulfill a role, defend, get loose balls, shoot when you're open. I think DiVincenzo had like 26 or 28 last night. Like, that's exactly what you want when someone goes down, for somebody else to step up. And it looks like Dante's ready to do that too. I love him, and I love his game as well. But Chris, I'll tell you what, the last thing I'll say about this is, of course, I'm worried about Julius Randle being out, and I do think it's going to affect our record, but I'm not worried about the mentality of this team. I'm not worried about them being, scared. Oh, what are we going to do without Julius? Like, this team is tough as nails. They take on the mindset of their coach, and they're built for adversity. They don't crack. Something happens, and they're very much a next man up type of team. Look at what happened when Mitch went down, Chris. Hartenstein came up, and he's playing.
And people thought we were going to be like, oh my God, This is awful. We're going to get cooked on defense and all that. And Hartenstein came in, and
Hartenstein playing like one of the best centers in the league right now. Like, please,
20 rebound games,
There'd be 20 teams that would die to have a center like Isaiah Hartenstein right now. So I'm not worried about the mentality of this team. They're still going to continue to play hard. They're going to continue to play unselfish. So, I think it's just a matter of holding it, like, let's say you have, you said, let's say it's 2 months, right? And I'm just throwing a number out there, let's say you have 15 games within that time span. You've got to figure out a way to maybe be just a little above 500 during that time, or maybe just a little bit below. You can't let go of the rope. And obviously, you're probably not going to win 13 out of those 15 games without Julius Randle, unless the schedule is like super soft. Which
I know in February we have, I think, 12 or 13 games, and I think all but like 3 are at home. So at the Garden. So like, we're gonna have majority of the games in February at the Garden. So I think that not that there's ever a good time to lose.
No, you're right.
But like, if there is, this might be the best time, because
you make a good point.
We might be able to just stay afloat because we have a majority of games at home. I think Alan Hahn had mentioned that today on the radio, and I was like, oh, that's actually. He's like, and he said the same thing. He's like, it's not a good thing that he's out, but hey, if there's ever a time, this might be it. So, and I know they're going with the lineup right now. They got, because it was Hardenstein and Precious.
That's what it was. That's how they started with Hardenstein and Precious.
And Precious played solid, and he had a little bit of a rough go, and we forget about Precious was in the deal, in the trade too. But he kind of a little bit of a bumpy start. He still has moments where he still does some wacky things, but he played solid. I think he's gonna have to step up and contribute more, especially with a little bit of perimeter. And I know he could do it, with the perimeter shooting. I know because he did it in college and all that. But now is his opportunity, because this is probably his best chance. This is probably, since he's got in the league, this is going to be his most extensive minutes he's going to get, to show that he can, he could be a key contributor, and we're going to need that, playing with a Hardenstein and all that, so, and Josh Hart, and, you need to step up. Guys need to, like you said, guys need to step up on offense. And this is definitely, we're going to see if Precious can do that, and in a game like today where Utah, solid team and all that, it's whatever against the Hornets. I think me and you could have been on the court. We were going to beat the Hornets, bro. The Hornets are just
that team is embarrassing, man. Then just seeing how some of the young guys are on there too, like it's just
they're a non-serious basketball team.
Yeah, non-serious
basketball
team.
Perfect
way to describe it.
It's just like the Wizards, like the non-serious, like young teams are always tough, but we've seen like OKC, like they're mature and all that, and you could find it's tough to find those mature young guys, but certain teams know how to. The Wizards, the Hornets, those are teams I would God bless those coach. I know the Wes Unseld got fired. You know,
Yeah.
he's like, I'd rather just be upstairs. Whatever. I'm good. You know, and that's a but that's an unserious team. So I didn't even watch the game that much. You know, I was like, we should destroy them.
Yeah.
You know, and we did without a lot of our guys and all that. But do you think we need to make any more moves? Does it need to be a significant move? Obviously, everybody keeps saying, you keep hearing big names. Obviously DeJounte Murray's in there. Still here. Donovan Mitchell's going to be in Knicks trade rumors until
forever.
For the rest of his life. It's always going to be. He's always going to be in trade rumors to the New York Knicks and all that.
Death taxes and Donovan Mitchell.
It's always. You know, you hear Mikal Bridges stuff. You know, so but do they need to make a move of that significance? You know, because I don't know if they really need to do it. I know it may seem like it because Julius Randle is out right now, so maybe there's fans are panic. Oh, we need to make a move. Take advantage of this. But Jeff, do we need to make a move of that significance, or we just got to do a little couple things and then wait till Julius Randle comes back and then we go, do our thing in the playoffs?
I hate to do this, but I'm going to straddle the fence a little bit. So this is what I'm going to say. This is honestly how I feel. Mm-hmm. I do think if we're going to reach the best version of this iteration of the team post OG trade, I do think you're going to need some type of scoring punch behind Brunson. However, I say that, and I don't, because my thing is this: I hate when we get takes on Knicks Twitter and then people start parroting those takes and everyone just hops on like, we need secondary creators. Like that's everyone's favorite word now that OG got traded. You see that, right, Chris? Like,
of course,
creator. We need like scoring punch off the bench. Like, and it's not wrong, right? Like, I do think they need that. But I will tell you this, man. I don't want us to scroll past Deuce McBride, bro. Like, Deuce McBride is playing well, and I think we gave him an opportunity. The Knicks extended him. And you know what? Is he perfect? No. But he just got the opportunity of a lifetime backing up Jalen Brunson. And slowly but surely, listen, when it started, Tibbs was being Tibbs. He was taking him out too quick. He was like, I can't deal with this. Jalen, go back in. But slowly but surely, Deuce has gotten his time, and he's hitting threes at a great clip right now. I believe he's over like 40%. And he's playing very well. Defensively, he was a monster last night. He was literally sticking to his dude, getting over screens, like blowing up plays. And I just don't want us to rush to, we got to get, Malcolm Brogdon, Jordan Clarkson. We got to get, and those are some guys that, don't get me wrong, like I would like they would definitely fulfill a role in this team. Me personally, I'm out on DeJounte Murray. I'm out on a bigger name because of what it's going to cost us to give up. Because if you look at, some people were saying we could have Alec Burks for 2 second-round picks. Okay, I'll sign up for that. But I don't want to give up on Deuce right now. Deuce to me is an example of how this team develops talent. I haven't given up on Quentin Grimes yet. I still have
you can't give up on him yet.
I still have my Quentin Grimes stock. I'm not letting go of that yet. And I just feel like let's see what's going on with this group. I think Deuce might be, a really good player for us. And of course, would you worry how he does in the playoffs? Yeah. I mean, I think he got some spot minutes last year and played decent in those minutes. But, he's unproven. But so what? You know what? This team has done a pretty good job of giving unproven talent an opportunity. And then eventually they grow and they become able to handle that opportunity. So Deuce McBride strikes me as a guy that can do that. And I'd rather see if he can before we decide, let's give his minutes to somebody else.
I'm with you, man. I'm a Deuce guy. I thought he should have been like a top 20 pick in the draft and all that. The fact that we got him in the second round, is a steal and all that. So I'm with you on there. I feel like he's improved as a ball handler. He's improved his shooting. I think he's shooting like 44% from three this year. I know it's on a small volume, but still. Percentages. That's just
Chris, they're not easy shots too. Like, don't get me wrong.
He gets open threes,
but he shoots well. Like literally, he dribbles and he'll be going fast, stop on a dime and pull up. Like that's not an easy shot to hit. It's not like he's just in the corner hitting open threes. Like he's better than people are giving him credit for.
Yeah, he's improved a lot, and like I said, he's been one of those guys the last few years that, you know, start and stop. He'll get a few stretches where he's playing, you know, in big points, and then he won't play. You know, right. So, but now he's getting, you know, kind of consistent minutes, and he's showing. You know, every time you see him, he's being aggressive. You know, he's being the pit bull he is. He's taking a good shot. He's more confident in his offense. That's always been the thing. We know we're going to do defensively,
right?
You know, guarding, you know, ones or twos. You know, he's going to get in face. He's not going to make it easy for the opposing point guard. But it was okay. Can he grow offensively? And I always believed that he can grow, because I saw it at West Virginia, and I'm like, that's there. It's just he's got to be confident. He's got to get consistent minutes. And when he has, like I said, he's taking, you know, his shot has looked good. You know, he's getting in guys' face. He's shooting contested 3-pointers and all that. His dribbling is improved. You know, his just IQ, you know, and that's what comes with confidence when you're playing. You know, it's just natural, right? It's for anyone. Right. So like when he's getting that, we're seeing okay. So like, and Quentin Grimes too. I know people they gave up on Quentin Grimes, and I'm never going to give up on Quentin Grimes, because I know there's immense talent there.
I agree.
And all that. You know, he can get hot and all that. He just had a bit of a funk. It was weird, especially early on the season with that, you know, trying to find a role, being like a 6, you know, the 5th, 6th option. That's tough, you know, and all that. But I know I don't think they need to make a crazy move. I don't think they got to make a crazy move, like you said. Getting a DeJounte Murray, yeah, it sounds good, but how are we going to work that in with Jalen Brunson? Like, how does that really? And we kind of seeing how we would work by Atlanta. We have the sample is looking at what Atlanta's doing, you know, and it has not worked.
No,
you know. Now, obviously, we were a different team and all. I think we're better equipped, but still, how does that work and all that? And then, like I said, there's other options. Obviously, the Utah, you know, you hear about Colin Sexton, you know, possibly with him, you know, and who's the other guy I'm thinking about? Who's their 6th man? Clarkson.
Clarkson.
You know, Clarkson and Sexton. You know, we're hearing about, you know, who just got traded from Indiana, won championship in Utah. I forgot his name. I don't know why it's splitting, but you know, hearing you know, hearing trade rumors of him. I don't know if they got to make crazy moves like that. I kind of like the way this team is right now. And if there's a move in the offseason, let's go to the offseason, you know, and figure out, because we got to figure out what OG, you know, what's going to be that contract and all that, and all that. And we still got to remember, people forget we got to pay Brunson soon.
Yeah. But that's
he's gonna be an all NBA player too. So all those now that number gets higher and higher.
Much higher, man. And the other thing too, like I think that people, I know, like, this isn't like a sexy buzzword in NBA talks, but continuity, man. Like you trade for OG, and I think we're lucky in the sense that it's gone on. It's been a seamless fit. Like it doesn't seem like it's been hard to insert him into our team and our offense.
Bruce Brown.
Bruce Brown. Oh,
I don't know why I forgot today.
Yeah. But you know, we're lucky for that. But you don't realize you lose IQ and RJ, that shakes up the dynamic of your teams, that shakes up the way that we play, and people have to adjust to that. So now if you make another big trade for DeJounte Murray, who knows what we're giving up in return? It's going to be like another 10 or 20 games before we figure out how to play with him. So, and that's going to affect your win-loss record as well. I'm not saying you don't do the move just because of that. If you really feel like you're going to be so much better with him in the long run, like, okay, I get it. But there's a cost to that, man. And I think sometimes people really feel like it's fantasy basketball. Like, you just add the guy. Oh, listen, he's 25 and whatever. Of course you add that, but like,
you look at the stats and like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, but it's not that. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no, and like I said, we've seen kind of how the dynamic has worked with him in training, and it simply just hasn't worked. And you know, how would it work with Brunson? I know he's a little bit different than Trae Young. You know, maybe but it's kind of similar. It would be kind of similar. And it's like, do you want to mess with that dynamic? Do you want to take the ball away more from Brunson? He kind of needs the ball in his, and we already have Julius Randle. So now you're going to add three guys who kind of need, and it's not like we're running a lot of, Jeff, we're not running a lot of, offense. We're not running a lot of plays out there. It's kind of just like, hey, high pick and roll. Yeah. And that's it. So it's not like we're running a lot of plays.
The offense is let Jalen and Julius cook. That is that's the offense.
Jeff, somebody asked me, I was talking to somebody the other day. They're like, yo, so what are sets to the Knicks run? I was like, what? We don't run sets, bro. We just run pick and roll, high pick and roll, and JB does a thing, Brunson does his thing, and Randall just does his typical, Randall stuff.
Every now and then, I smile a little bit. Like, I will say this, what's been kind of cool, and I didn't know, like we were talking about OG's offense a little bit earlier. They do run this little thing like a down screen by the baseline for him. And he comes off a curl. So he gets to start running at the defense because he's really hard to guard when he has like speed at him because he's so big and strong. So they do that for him. And then he either goes straight to the rim or he pulls back for a little midi fadeaway, which he's actually been hitting like quite a lot. But dude, honestly, like they either set two big screens at the top of the key. The two bigs will come up.
Jericho.
And they do like some sort of different screen sets around that, or they'll have something coming off the baseline, some curl. But besides that, it's a 1-5 pick and roll. Jalen, figure it out. That's what it is, man. Like that's 80% of the offense is that.
Which is also impressive too, that you could not really have a lot of offensive sets and have that much success. Yeah. Especially for a coach that's is not known for being
flexible.
For an offensive coach, offensive mind, he kind of just lets them play. Like
he just lets them play, man.
Which you got to give him credit too, like, and that's part of his. I know he's another guy that not big on in the Knicks world, but you have to give him credit with that. Is he lets them play sometimes, and that could be sometimes it's frustrating because you would like to see some type of ball movement and all that, but another times it's like, man, he just lets them go. He lets them figure it out on offense.
I'll give you a real quick Tibbs rant, just because like I try not to get into too much with people on Twitter, but like
I don't do it. It's not even worth it, to be honest.
But I just want people to know. What this guy has been about for the past 3 or 4 years, right? So he came here. What were the criticisms? You run everybody into the ground by playing them too many minutes. You don't play young kids, and you don't really develop players. The developing players was kind of fugazi a little bit because, like, Jimmy Butler is like, we forget Jimmy Butler,
Derrick Rose,
Derrick Rose. Like, come on. Like,
I mean, I always thought that was foolishness, but
yeah. So he comes here, right? Doesn't play young players. Okay, Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin before he got traded, Quentin Grimes. He literally sat Rose and Evan Fournier last year out of the rotation.
He literally said the guy they just gave $72 million to not too long ago, like, you're not playing a minute. And
you're situational.
You're done.
You're situational now. Then the minutes thing, I will say this, like, sometimes, like especially last night, there was a point where I was like, maybe we should get Brunson out of here a little bit earlier. I mean, he did eventually get him out of here. But if you look at Randall's minutes, I do think like overall they haven't been as high as they were like a year or two ago. I remember 2 years ago that they were like really, him and RJ were like leading the league. I forget.
Yeah, RJ was playing crazy minutes.
But now I do think he's come off them a little bit. But
they're also dominating more games, like they and they're not blowing. Remember, there was like even last year, it felt like they were blowing some big leads. The year before that too felt like that. So it hasn't been the case this year. So you don't have that pressure of like, oh man, I have to leave Brunson in because we might blow this lead but it feels like it's not the case this year.
And then the other thing is the lineups too, man. Like he's been a little bit better with his lineups. There's been more diversity in like how he utilizes guys. Like I'll give you an example. When OG first came here, right? The second unit was actually Deuce, Randle, Hart, Grimes, and Who else was it? Who else is in that 5? Precious, right? So that was it. So that lineup was terrible, and everybody was like, "Damn, we got to figure out what to do with the bench." So what does Tibbs do? He takes out OG earlier in the first, and now has OG with that lineup instead. And then there's still like flexibility. He'll put somebody else there, maybe here and there and now. But like my thing is this: people will be like, Tibbs doesn't adjust. Tibbs has this set, and he doesn't deviate from it. It's not true. Like, he's been doing this, but people, they get caught up in a narrative and they just want to say like, oh, this is what he is. But Tibbs has been really good this year. And honestly, like, listen, people may not agree with me. I think the man deserves an extension. I'm not saying that he should be here. I'm not saying it should be like a 4 or 5 year extension. Maybe you start off at 2. He's a little bit older. I don't want to lose Johnny Bryan. I like Johnny Bryan a lot. I think he's going to be a really good coach one day. But to me, Tom Thibodeau, he's in the 4th year of a 5-year deal, and I think he's done more than enough to show.
Oh yeah. Any other coach would have gotten an extension already.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I wouldn't. I guess, like, and we talked about this before the show. Like, I don't think he deserves a lot of the flack he's kind of gotten.
Yeah.
I think he's a really good coach. And I always say with people, fire him, all right?
Who you replacing?
Who you replacing with? Who you replace? Oh, and then there's Johnny Bryan. Like, well, do we know what Johnny Bryan is as a coach? Because I remember those people saying they give more credit to Johnny Bryan than Tibbs. And I was like,
I know.
Do you even know what Johnny Bryan does on the Like, do you know like who he controls? Is he like? Do you know how much control he has? Like,
IQ.
How do you say that? How do you give him the assistant coach credit, but not Tibbs? It just doesn't make sense. Now you're just being ridiculous because you don't like Tibbs and you just want to continue with your narrative. But he's a really good coach. It's hard to find it in the NBA. Really, Adrian Griffin just got fired and all that. So, do you want to go through that route where we're just because you don't like Tibbs? And yes, maybe he does have a shelf life, but we got to see what this year. We don't know. This is a completely new team, so we don't know. We got to see what we do in the playoffs. If we get bounced in the first round, then okay, maybe we have a conversation.
Yeah, I would agree.
But if we're getting into the conference finals or something, we're in game 6. How do you say, you kind of have to give him an extension and all that? And like I said, I think the coach gets too much of the flack. It's about the players and all that, and there's still moves to be made. Yeah. And we've seen what I know people like, oh, well, look what he did with Derrick Rose. I was like, he also made him an MVP.
Exactly.
I know what was the lasting images of Derrick Rose and all that team, but I don't know. I like Tibbs. I think he's a great coach. I think he's helped change the culture, which, Jeff, this was a bad culture just not too long ago. We were the laughing stock of the league. He's helped. We're no longer that. I know everybody wants to. We want to keep getting better and get the team better so we can have a championship caliber team. Of course, there's nothing more I want to see. But we got to appreciate that. Hey, man, he's got us to a point where we're a really damn good team. That's right. And we're getting that respect.
And nobody wants to play us, honestly. No. Like, I don't care. Even if Mitch,
our home court advantage.
Exactly.
I may sound like a homer.
No,
I may sound like a homer. We have the best home court advantage in the NBA. No question. We might have the best road because we travel good too.
Exactly. And you heard it last year. Remember, I'll never listen. This guy's never going to live this down. I don't care what happens. But Jared Allen said it best. The lights were a little too bright for us. This man actually said this into a microphone, and it shows you. Like, you come to the Garden, you better be ready because first off, you're going to feel the floor shake. The fans are going to be absolutely insane, and if you don't have your game, it's going to be relentless. So no team wants to play us. Even if Mitch doesn't come back, even with Hartenstein and Precious at the 5, obviously we definitely need Julius, but no team wants to play us. We're very physical. We literally just get on you for 48 minutes and make it very difficult for you to score or do what you want offensively. And no team wants that. No teams want to be able to kind of meander around on the perimeter, do their thing, dribble handoff freely, and get into their sets and whatever.
Can't do that with OG in the perimeter.
Can't do that with us. Can't do it.
You cannot do that sort of, and that's the difference between this team this year. We're not at home. We are truly dominant. We've had a few years where we would lose. We would lose those weird games at home. You're like the Chicago game last year, the game we covered.
Yeah,
like how, and we're like, how did we lose that game?
Right.
And like that's not happening right now this year.
No.
We're a pretty dominant team, and teams don't want to come to the Garden. It is a different, and maybe this is the year where that changes perspective, and maybe there's in the off season you finally get that guy that's like, yo. So we have to see what happens, but so far, man, it's been a fun season, Jeff. The Knicks have played really good basketball. Obviously, Randles out, but hopefully he's not out for too long, and we continue to play good basketball. But Jeff, my brother, always a pleasure talking to you. Finally, happy to get you on the pod and all that. So, this was a lot of fun, brother.
Chris, man, really appreciate you. Always, I've said this to you before, but I love what you're doing with Off the Ball. I'm sure at some point we'll get a chance to talk draft.
We definitely, because we might have picks this year, so we can actually have discussion.
Exactly.
I remember last year, like CP was like, "Yo, just be on deck for the draft." It was like, and if you get picks, and I remember I fell asleep. And I'm like, oh man, I was like, oh, they had no picks, so we didn't do it because we were on deck. Like, just stay on deck in case we get a pick.
Yeah,
it's this year we're gonna have picks. So
doing the KFTV show when it's like, and the Knicks trade back, and the Knicks trade back, and just have to like shuffle through, like, okay, all right. But
we've had some pretty fun moments in the draft shows too.
Yes,
so like,
we did.
The book night thing was I'll never let go of that moment. With CK and all that. But yeah, I'm sure, like I said, we're going to be doing stuff. Hopefully we get to host a show this year, but we'll definitely be doing some draft stuff and all that as we get closer. It's already February and all that. So I know I'm starting to dive into some prospects and all that, seeing in what range. I know the Knicks have a couple picks late. And all that. But I'm sure we'll be doing more stuff for the draft for Knicks Fan TV. I'm sure I'll have you back on and we'll talk some more, even talk to some St. John's basketball and all that, because they got the City Rocket too, that. They do. But before we sign off, Jeff, tell the people where they can find you and any work you got going on.
Yes, sir. On Twitter, it's Jeff_boy_RD. Pretty much writing just exclusively for Knicks Fan TV, doing some post-game shows here and there for them. And you just find me ranting and raving on Twitter with the rest of us degenerates, but loving every second of it. Pretty much it.
For sure. Yeah. So I'll make sure to post all of Jeff's, links. We can find him on X. All his work he does for Knicks Fan TV does a great job and all that. And all that good stuff. You can follow me at Off the Ball Pod. This is episode 196. We are approaching 200 episodes of Off the Ball. I started this podcast 4 years. In 2019, I started it. So we're approaching 200 episodes. So hopefully do something special for episode 200. That should be coming up soon. So it's been fun, man. It's because meeting people like you, to be able to do stuff on Knicks Fan. I used to be a caller, bro. I'm sure you called in, and now we're on the show. Like, it's like, it's kind of cool to, just all the people I've been able to meet throughout this journey, this podcast journey. I could never, I can't even explain how dope it's been these last 4 years to just be able to do all the cool stuff, even today. And I'm still not at the level I want to be, but like to get to this, it's pretty cool. Like, just the cool stuff throughout these years. But yeah, approaching episode 200. You can follow me at Off the Ball Pod. Follow this. Follow, subscribe on YouTube, Off the Ball Network. Go to the offtheballnetwork.com. We got a whole bunch of great articles written by a bunch of great writers. Subscribe on Spotify, on any podcast platform you have. But Jeff, my man, once again, you're one of the best in the business, bro. Always a pleasure chopping up with you, so we're going to definitely be doing this again, man. But let's enjoy the rest of this Knicks game. To everyone who's tuning in, make sure to subscribe, do all that. Check out Jeff's work. Check out what we have going on the Off the Ball Network. We got a trivia show going on. That's been really fun. That I'm 1-0, by the way, so I'm really happy about that. Trying to win a championship this year and Off the Ball Network trivia and all that. Maybe we get you on next season, Jeff. We're trying to branch off of
I'd be in stuff. Sure.
I'll let you know about that. But on that note, be well, be safe, take care.